everyone has a strength that they haven't fully recognized yet. Today we're asking, what is your hidden advantage in this matter? This could be someone in a secret competition, a rivalry, or a high stakes matter. And how is this already working in your favor? Let's get into it, friends. Let me know how this resonates down in the comments below. Choose from the overhead selection. Group 1, you are the lipstick with the kiss. Group 2, I think this is a tiger. I have the tiger energy. Group 3, you are this pink and blue butterfly. And group 4, you are the little birdie. Let me know how this resonates, friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hi, group 1. Welcome to your selection. So you chose this kiss, this lipstick and kiss perfume. What? Okay, this lipstick and kiss. And I think that something is karmic as hell in this situation, but your crown goes off in a big way. Okay. So, you know, let's get a little bit of context around the matter. Okay, what is your hidden advantage in this situation? Okay, welcome to the pink, LOL. Okay, but let's hop into some Kipper cards to see, kind of get the context or get the dynamic. Okay, aspects of the dynamic. Let's see, group 1. Okay, what is your hidden advantage in this situation? Okay, I think that you're definitely smarter. Okay, I think that you're definitely smarter than someone, or your height is an advantage in this situation. Some of you guys, your height is an advantage in this situation if you have long legs, like if you are a dancer, okay, or you work in modeling, aesthetics, or anything like that. You definitely have that advantage. Okay, so we definitely like to see longer legs on the pole. We like to see long, straight legs, slender legs, you know. Anyways, so you know, let's get into, you know, some actual cards here. Okay, group 1, what is your advantage in this situation? Okay, I think that you've been on this road for a long time, and it could feel exhausting because you're just like, oh my god, I've had to stay on the advantage of something for a long time. You know, this long road that you've been on have been burdensome for you as well, but I'm hearing that it's literally a drama. Okay, so some of you guys, you know, this was out of your control, and I think that you planned ahead in this situation, and I think that you may not even, this is how you were immune from it, I think, because you planned ahead in a long situation, you planned ahead about something, and this reflects your choices from long ago, meaning that you had the intuition to protect something, is what I'm hearing. Okay, I think that you are on this journey that requires patience and different choices. So it's not just you that has choices to make. It's not just, you know, other people that have choices to make. It's also you. Okay, and I think that you made choices long ago and planned ahead in a significant way. I don't know what this could be about, but I'm hearing that there has been over months and years that you have been on this long road with a stable heart in a matter. Okay, I think that your choices have been heart-centered, and I think that that's also your advantage, is that you lead with your heart, and that your purity and devotion, and not some, you know, disrespectful fan or something. Okay, I think that, you know, this situation points to a gradual process, crossroads, and a destination that's worth the effort, because I think that a lot of you guys really have a great fortune in this situation, and if you stay the test of time, I think that you will, you know, get the outcome that you're looking for. Okay, we have a brief illness, and then we have sorrow. Okay, you know, I think that you, in this situation, there was like a stress and a negativity. Maybe you guys, there was a relationship that develops really slowly. You guys could have a lot of sex, but it could feel triggering if it develops slowly. I think that something has caused sorrow though. Okay, and I think that it's because they have a long-term plan in education, business, or in a career in some type of way, or this is you. I think that if you stay consistent, then you will stay on the advantage of this situation. But I think that there's so much stress and negativity around something. I don't know. I feel like, especially if you guys, some of you guys took social media breaks. Like when we first had when we first came back to Felicia and Trees Tarot 2025, I think, 2024 or 5, I don't know. We had a lot of social media readings around people who could have possibly taken social media breaks, or there was like a career, there's like business, career, and education that you've been on the advantage of, because there's somebody who have not really been able to compete with the intelligence, but they have been, they've been stressed and in sorrow. Okay, and I think that your long-term planning pays off in this situation, because maybe there's a lot of you needing to like defend your home, or defend like the Odyssey, right? Where your long-term planning shows that there was some kind of big issue with someone, with others, and that people had like a stress and negativity about you that you cannot control. Okay, this feels like you are on the advantage of an energy vampire. Okay, that you need to fend off your energy. Like, you need to protect your energy, like Janae Eiko says in the Trigger Protection Mantra. Protect your energy, friend, because there are people around you that have a sorrow about your home and your life, and you have been planning this from long ago. And I know that it can feel burdensome as hell, because it's triggering having to defend your home, or it's triggering knowing that some people are obsessed with your home, or that they're obsessed with your relationship. Some of you guys just started you guys could have started a relationship, or there's a burden around your relationship and home life and work. Okay, I think that there is also there's shocking, you guys planned something from long ago, and then you run into this divinely timed realization, or noticed that there are people who have, they've been ill about you. Okay, they've been in a sorrow about you, and it's been making you ill and sorrowful too, because this is something that you planned, something, that you have a crown, that it's like your crown is clear as day in a situation. And I think that it's scary, when you woke up and realize that you have been on the advantage and you didn't even know that this was happening. Okay, these people saw your home and immediately started stealing from your home. There was even a security breach here, but I definitely feel like someone's name is Michaela, Sage, Paige, Jane, Janet, Siobhan. There are a lot of people who, someone's name is Neil, right? You could even be at court with these people, but I think that you were planning for your life, right? And you've put down very, very strong roots, and it shows like major intentions. It shows, a heart-centered approach to a matter that doesn't reflect the stress and negativity that these people have been projecting onto your home because of their own fears, sensations of fears and triggers, right? And I think that when you now in this, like, I think that you are reaching a point where you're like, oh, there was a lot of stress and negativity, because you realized there were like energy vampires chronically dependent and draining you guys, and complaining about your life and home in some type of way. And you've just been, approaching your life in a free and philosophical way. Approaching your life and living moment to moment, planning for the things that you want, based on your heart's desire, and you've had the rights, right? And there have been people around that have been just angry because of some kind of elite association you could be related to, your higher education, your career, your business. It's just so renowned. And we don't want to say that we're better, but a lot of you guys do have better results, better brands, better allies, better friends, better results, friends. I just think that you had better results. Okay, and so I think that it has all been a spiritual warfare to protect your energy. I think that this is the advantage you're on, because there's literally people who are stressing, negative about you. They can even start ganging up and bullying you, and it's because of your home and the recognition and reward, the education, the career or business, and the relationship is what I'm hearing. Okay, Yeah, Neptune energy, the glamour of your home or something like that, or they feel like like something would happen. Is that it just feels like, they saw it as very feminine, but there was a lot of illusion around your home. It triggered them so much seeing your feminine home or seeing your feminine life. Seeing, your higher learning reflects an abstract thought that they couldn't understand. Like, these people are not smart enough to relate to you or understand you. And I think that you've really just been following your dreams, Fran. And I think that dreams do come true in a situation. And it's illusory how your dreams come true in a situation. But I think that this is why people are so stressed and negative about you. And a lot of you guys are dancers or move. And it's really illusory how you move like this, how you got these kind of results. Like your TV, your theater, your fashion, and your glamour is better. Okay. And this is like the heightened awareness that brings them sorrow, right? And I think that you've been on the advantage of these, they could be cardinal modalities. Cancer, yeah, I was getting Cancer and Aries energy a lot, right? Where they shapeshift, project whatever image that serves them. And it really it's really like, it's really negative in some type of way. Okay, their intention is to do something negative. It's something that you need to defend, or it's something that's strange. It's something that scares you, something that isolates you, something that gets you bullied. Like, a lot of people see your home and get on television or see this higher reward and honor, and they get so mad. And I think that some of you guys, when you see them projecting images of your home, you get the ick, because you realize that it's just superficial. You realize that they were stressed and negative, that there was that there was a lot going on behind the scenes, that they were carrying a lot of burden about your relationship, your career, your business, and your education behind the scenes. These cancers, like there's like 4 or 5 different cancers sitting up, like, in a despair, and you're just like, paying them dust, barely talking to them, barely noticing them, not really even talking to these people, friend. Okay, I think that you've barely been talking to them. Okay, and it has been truly an icky situation, because they have been really ill. Okay, they've been ill to be doing this. Okay, and I think that a lot of them, if they start bullying you, they start to form an opposition. And I think that you start to get on the advantage of this opposition, right? What is your hidden advantage? Your miracles are your hidden advantage. This is why it's so illusory with this Neptune energy. A lot of these people cannot decipher how you've done this, okay? How you've manifested all this. But it was really, I think that a lot happened behind the scenes. A lot of you guys may have taken social media breaks, and when you took time away, or you planned in advance for something, well in advance, months and years, y'all. I'm hearing people were shocked when you came with this plan. They were like, oh, I'm like, big plan, big tempo, big miracles happen for you, big things unfolded for you behind the scenes. And how all this happened is illusory to people. And I think that this is your advantage, is that they really don't know how your dreams came into fruition. They don't know all of these silent and secret miracles. They don't know all of these private exchanges. They don't know all these earth angels that walked into your life. They don't know all the grace that you've been extended. They don't know how you've been met with mercy, how you've been met with care, how you've been, first, for one, I think that your abstract thought is just so about beyond them. I definitely think that you're smarter, and that's the advantage. And so a lot of them, what they're seeing now is the plan unfolded. They're seeing the results of a hard earned effort, right? A lot of them are seeing, they're just watching you explore the abstract thought of something, and not really get into the details of the miracles, or get into the ins and outs of the way that you operate. And because, a lot of you guys, this is your advantage, because that they have this incentive, right? Their opposition and sorrow, right? Looking to project an image when they just don't know how. They're under illusions about how you harness something for your personal betterment. They don't really know how this happened, friend. Okay, and no leak on a social media group chat is going to put together the pieces of how your dream came true. Your dream already came true, y'all. I think that you've already solidified, and you're already secure. But I think that they're really in a lot of sorrow, because they can't comprehend the abstract thought, because a lot of them don't have enough business acumen. They don't have enough, they don't have enough abstracts thought. They don't have enough education to relate. They don't have enough career development or training. They have like, some of them only have like vocational training, or they have, some of them, they don't understand, like some of you guys have white collar training or executive ass training. You know what I'm saying? So it's really illusory. Why would you try to fight with somebody who's like an executive at a business? You know what I'm saying? Like something where they were unparalleled competition to begin with, and they've just been projecting shallow images. I think that a lot of them, they have the same dream as you, okay? And this is the psychic advantage that you're on. They have the same dream of, as you. They want to have a fluid relationship like you. They want to be fluid. Some of them, they want to have a rainbow kind of relationship. They want to have the same kind of house as you. They want to, some of them, they want to do everything that you do. Like, it's just like something where you wake up and realize that there's been someone, like these Cancers at the Pink Pole Studio and the Capricorns, like, oh my God, it's like you wake up and you realize that they've been tethered to everything that you do, watching every single link, watching every single move that you make, and you've just been, away planning in advance for your life that you desire, right? And they're so busy, like it's clear that it's not like, some of them, they want your house, or they want to live like you, but they don't really, this is the destiny swapping energy that you guys could be on the advantage of, because they're angry and aggressive, and their opposition, draining your energy, or like their obsession is truly impacting you with fatigue and paranoia, right? And I think that when you see that these people, you've been off, approaching your life, living in moment to moment and planning in advance, that these people haven't really been focused on their own development. They've only been focused on what you've been, the illusory and abstract thoughts that you share. When you keep a lot of this mysterious, friend, you keep a lot of this secret. And so it's especially like with black women, like, don't tell them anything about you. Y'all, please don't tell them nothing. These black women are terrible, like treacherous and scary as hell. Like, I'm hearing like the black women are so scary, y'all. And it's like, especially if they're a Cancer, y'all. If this is a black woman that's a Cancer, like, oh my God, they're totally obsessed with your home. And so, like, I think that you guys really get scared in this situation, and I think that you've been on the advantage of the sorrow. You've been on the advantage of some kind of paranoia that they can incite, and also just like learning that they've been trying to destiny swap, that they haven't really gone through their own character development, and so a lot of your abstract thought they can't relate to. A lot of you guys have bars on bars on bars, y'all. I'm telling you, you do not run out of creativity or expressions. So it's like, everything that they project, I think that this is the advantage as well, is that everything that they kind of project has to kind of like piggyback off of what you do and say, because you're like the main character here, and they're just like stressed and negative and a sorrow because they don't have enough acumen, okay? Yeah, and a lot of them have been suffering in silence, right? And I think that a lot of you guys, a lot of your suffering happened behind the scenes, right? All they see is this feminine house, or your dreams coming through now, and they're just like, oh my God, that's a fluid dream life, right? And you just keep getting the ick with them coming around with their fluid problems, something where they have like their sexuality problems, or their, sexuality addiction, grosses you out. Some of them, they do a lot of public displays of affection online, and it's just like, it seems like it's just so inauthentic and extra. Like, they do a lot of like tonguing and kissing down in public or on social media accounts. Like, they do a lot like they're basically bumping coochies on the internet, friend, and it's just so raunchy and so lowbrow and so ghetto looking. Something where, if they're like black fluid people, they just look so ghetto, and I don't want to like project, or expect, the politeness of white supremacy. I think that you are very comfortable in your home and you're very open, but I think that when people project your home, it feels inauthentic in a way, right? And it gives you the ick, or it helps you learn that they're suffering in silence in some type of way about you, and you're like, I didn't know that you were just so obsessed with my crown and my life and, my miracle. You know what I'm saying? Something where they're obsessed with your miracle, okay? And you get it as truth. I think that the psychic advantage, you're on the psychic advantage for the truth in the situation. Especially if some of them attack you, or they're under investigation for a crime, they have a hidden motivation to use black magic, or to shapeshift and project your image. If they're projecting your image, they're hiding, heartache and loss, right? They're hiding some violation. They're hiding a problem. You know what I'm saying? So I think that you've been on the advantage of their heartache and loss, so it doesn't impact you in a personal way, because this is truly their personal issue that you haven't really been responsible for, right? And I think that when you run into this miracle, they see love begin for you in a fluid way, right? They see a big bright opportunity, and they just be getting violent and aggressive, friend. Okay? And I think that how you are, your secret advantage in this situation is that you're smarter than them, you're fluid and genuine, right? It's like you're genuinely here, but it's like something where they just make themselves look weird when they do things ostentatiously. It's like something where they're over the top about it. They really do too much, and they might they try to project and your epic history, and they're just not having they just don't have and you're just there with an abstract and higher learning that they can't fully express around, so they're really dependent on your expression. So you'll do something, and then 2 weeks later they'll return to a video that you posted and try to make and project an epic try to project your epic history, but as a diss or as an opposition. And this is something that they're strategizing to hide their heartache and loss, right? They don't take responsibility for their own house, and so they keep projecting onto your house and form a dependency on its expression. Okay. Yeah, Pisces energy. Okay, this is someone that some of you guys are psychic, right, or highly intuitive, and so a lot of you do something esoteric, and this is just, you're very abstract with your psychic gifts. A lot of you guys do understand the psyche, and so if you understand this, it's like you understand this person's psyche, and so you really get into their psyche bad, friend. And I think that you have the intuition to protect, right? And I think some of these people, they actually have feelings for you too, but it's not their house, right? They see you run into a miracle of a house or support or love, right? And they're just some of you really get the ick from them. You're not into them. And so I think that this also is another slap in the face, is because you're also not really into them, okay? And they just feel unrequited love, right? They feel unrequited love, especially if they started making offers to your person, okay? They realize that, you and your person realize that they're suffering, right? If this isn't, business, education, career, these people they don't have enough education, okay? Some of them don't know, they're not spiritual, okay? Some of them, they don't have breasts, and that is also your advantage. Some of you guys, breast and hips are your advantage as well in the situation for anybody wanting sex, because brief illness could also mean sex. But for a lot of you guys, this really is a situation where you start having sex, and it could be fluid, right? Or you run into a miracle of support, and a lot of your progress and a lot of your fulfillment happens behind the scenes. And so whatever they're in a competition for, it's just anger and aggression, friend, that you need to protect yourself from. They're literally, what they strategize is trying to flip a projection of your home into a diss, or flip it into an opposition. They literally copy an expression, idea, outfit, image, right, frame. They'll literally copy the entire frame and try to flex it's their epic history. And you're just no. They get rejected a lot, friend, okay? So, what is your hidden advantage in the situation? Okay, let's get the tarot, friends, and then we will wrap, because we know that it gets kind of sad, because you innovate something and they don't invest their time properly. They should have focused on their own development, or they didn't really understand your business, or really understand that this was you securing the bag long ago. They didn't know that you did all this planning from long ago, friend, and they just every time they see your plan unfold, they just get heartbroken. They see more of the plan. They see more of a miracle alignment. They see perfect timing. They see balance. They see rules, right? And regulations. They see that you are a ruler. Some of them, you even make them feel like anything is possible, okay? So some of them will hope and think that, stealing your house is possible. And it's just I might be the motivation and the inspiration, but don't get it twisted, friend, okay? So let's see, what is your hidden advantage in the situation, okay? Because, you definitely are here as a miracle. And I think that in itself is really telling. if your home received a miracle that you didn't have to work for, it was a gift, it was, someone, anything could happen. I'm hearing anything did happen, friend. And a lot of people don't know what happened behind the scenes. I'm hearing that it was more than one miracle, friend. If you want to know how Big Renaissance survived homelessness and a schizophrenic episode and harassment and security breaches from running across the 50 states, you're probably never going to understand that. So that's an unparalleled competition, because Felicia Latrice Tarot and Renaissance is a pure miracle. So anybody in a competition with a miracle have already lost, friend, because you have already been protected and provided for by the universe and God, the utmost high. So this was not love. This was not real. This was their stress and negativity that you've been on the advantage of, protecting yourself from their loss, actually, okay? So, let's wrap, friends. I'm hearing that they end up being losers at life, okay? Conventions, losers. People that just follow your trends, okay? Or people who just don't, they have sorrow too, but don't really, they don't really accomplish much, okay? I think in this situation, friends, you're on the advantage, but I think that you have painful realizations, forced truths, confusion that is like, these people are in a lot of confusion, but it's like I think that you are on the advantage to force these realizations, to force these truths, to anchor them to the truth that this is illness. A lot of you guys are psychic, you know what I'm saying? So you already have predicted how this is ending, okay? And some of you guys did predict this person's heartache and loss already. Some of you guys, you predicted this long ago. This already happened. So I think that this is your armor. I think that this is your water. Okay, I think that this is your emotional realm, because I think a lot of you guys, you approach this situation with a lot of heart, but you're met with a lot of negative people suffering, okay? And that causes heartache and loss too, okay? It's not, we can sit up and diss, or we can joke about having haters, but in the end of it, it's all suffering, it's all separation, it's all the illusions of separation, it's all conventional problem, it's all sad, you know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of things, I think that in this situation, the truth is that they see, the truth that they experience here is that, everything became possible for you, okay? And you start to shine bright. And when you start to shine bright, you can no longer ignore the silent sufferers projecting your image with black magic, right? You know that means that they're in heartache and loss, right? If they're not in full support. Ace of Cups reversed. You're on the advantage of, this rejection, okay? These people, this is the issue. Whatever they were doing, friend, the illness, they're trying to, a lot of this Seven of Swords energy is their illness. Some of them, they don't even know that they're doing this. Some of it is black magic. But, I definitely think that projecting images, when we get to a psychological defense mechanism, that really is mental illness, right? The root of black magic is a mental illness in this situation. And I think that you've been very intuitive about this person's illness, okay? And it's hard to face the magic. It's hard to see, when you realize that they were suffering in silence about something. I don't think that this is what, their struggle was not accepted. I don't think that I think that we learned that this was actually something unacceptable that they were doing, okay? Their mental illness was not, not grounds for exploitation and violation, okay? So in the end, I think that you're on the advantage of this rejection. I don't know, maybe you're the judge in the situation, you're the crown in the situation, you're the one in power with an authority in a situation. So they know that, you have rejected them, and they know that this means that they're getting severed, they're getting fired, they're not getting returned to, they don't get communication, and so they didn't invest properly in the situation, and a lot of their investment reflects their illness, or reflects their sorrow too, or reflects a conversation with you that you really haven't been involved in. It reflects a heartache about you. And so they keep trying to strategize, their whole life around you, or, they can't accept the rejection. And I think that you're on the advantage of someone who can accept the rejection, because you didn't like something where they said that you didn't like their mouth, or I'm hearing that you just didn't like their mouth or something like that. You didn't like the way that they looked. They were suffering, and it was because they knew. I think they were suffering. It was because they knew that you was going to reject them, Fran. Someone's name that starts with the letter N. They knew that you would reject them, and I think that the problem here is that this becomes a conflict about someone where they know from the get-go that you reject them. Okay, the Nine of Wands. I definitely feel like there's a romantic interest with this person. This person has a romantic interest in you, especially if they see, like, your career, education, and business. Some of them, when they see that you have a relationship, or they see something, a miracle of love begins for you, they totally lose hope in life, friend. I really don't think that this is anything more that you have to do here. The Seven of Swords energy feels like them trying to strategize their mental illness. Some of them could be trying to strategize how to defend this in court if they were in violation. Some of them are just, they're very silent about their illness, okay? But behind the scenes, and in reality, they're in total despair, friend. Total pessimism, total lack of faith with the star reverse. They don't really have, I think that you get everything once you learn everything that you need to learn about the situation. I think that this is actually a potent situation for you. I think that it's highly advantageous, highly auspicious. But this person doesn't have hope, okay, especially if they're black. So they're just ill, okay? And so what you're on the advantage of is someone's illness, friend, okay? That's it. So don't, they're carrying heavy loads and burdens of a rejection, of feeling unstable, of lacking harmony, of, lots of different fears and anxieties. And I think that this obsession led to a lot of unexpected money and popularity, but it also led to a lot of paranoia, fear, anxiety, safety concerns, and those energetic disturbances actually did cause illness, okay? It caused extra responsibilities, extra burdens, extra things that you need to fend off and ward off, you know what I'm saying? It's been difficult, to say the least. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that, friend. It's been a long road, on this situation where you've just been, you've been planning for your own future, and then you become burdened by someone's mental illness, or you become burdened by black people, okay? Because they don't have a crown, okay? So let's get your advice in the situation, group one, okay? I'm hearing something about a Scorpio and a Taurus or a Leo, Aquarius, or, these are black men that could have been romantic partners. They got unstable and, got rejected. Like something where their instability, whatever they did when they got unstable, it was envy, okay? It was some type of envy, or it was their own projection of whatever image that served them. But really, they were unstable about your femininity, career, education, business, okay? Some of them, they got really unstable about something fluid, okay? So let's see what's going on. Let's get your advice card for this. How can you stay on the advantage in this situation? Because someone's mental illness becomes sorrow and loss for everyone, okay? We have the flamingo energy. I was just looking at a flamingo. Yeah, stability and social harmony. These people didn't have stability or social harmony, and I think that this is actually something that you really do need to stay on the advantage of, especially because I think that you'll be okay if, considering that you will defend something fluid, a lot of you guys. But I think that a lot of these people, they were lacking stability. When I think about fours, I think about a lot around someone's body image, sexuality, and the social harmony. These people were not socially harmonious and stable, right? They were anxious and like in an uproar about you, right? And I think that you just kept changing around them, and it was illusory how you changed, and this just made them very burdened and upset, upset and unstable. Okay. The peregrine falcon, foresight and adventure. The falcon is a is our bird here in the United States. Yeah, I think that you were on an adventure, friend. I think that this is why it has been weird and spooky, because you guys have already psychically moved through this. A lot of you guys psychically predicted this, and you had a foresight with this falcon energy while you were on adventure, right? I think that you were literally, I think that that's why it's so sorrowful. You might have had burdens and stress, right? Because there's, some of you guys had this, this black people problem, or there are health and safety concerns, but I think that you had a foresight and an intuition to plan and protect something. And so we get to this point where there's sorrow. It's hard, with the Seven of Swords, it's hard to hide that that this was an obsession, that this wasn't their plan, and how everything unfolded made them lose hope. Okay, you were just on an adventure, taking a free and philosophical approach to your life, and someone was unstable about you. And I think that, there may have been conflict, fighting, discord, stress, and negativity. And I think that you're strategizing because you have to carry the burden of fluid people's body image issues, or you were given the crown for being fluid, friend. Okay, we have Ren, enthusiasm and decisiveness. Yeah, you've been enthusiastic and decisive, and they've been sorrowful about your plan and how everything unfolded. They literally watched your dreams come true, and it made them lose hope. And now they have to strategize. Now that your dreams are true, they have to strategize the mistakes that they made, right? They wish that they took an adventure too. They wish they had, planned something, too, but it just didn't work out that way. Okay, that's what I'm seeing, friends. I think that you're pretty okay here. You have everything that you need from this situation. These people were just conventions and losers, and I think that the social harmony gets disrupted because we realized that they were unstable, and that these memories and stories and experiences have to be rewritten. All right, I love you guys so much. Let me know how that resonates, and I'll see you guys next time. Hi, Group 2. Welcome to your selection. So what is your hidden advantage in this situation? Because I definitely think that this collective is extremely gifted, but I think that the collective composure may have been, broken and tainted in a way. Okay, but I think that we're okay. I just think that we've had a lot of extra responsibilities, with the increase of your guys' performance and rewards and recognition. Okay, and I think that I think that you're on the advantage of a communication. Okay, where someone is trying to draw water, or they're trying to produce emotions. Okay, someone's trying to produce emotions, and it's just boring, impulsive, and ruthless. Okay, this could be a matter around your house. Okay, so let's see, friends. What is your hidden advantage in this matter? Okay, what's your hidden advantage in this matter? The bear energy. Okay. Yeah. I think that this envy does create water, because it's burdensome and scary. This card symbolizes power, protection, leadership, authority, and financial strength. And I think that the shadow of this, someone's name is Lisa or Luna. Someone could be from Mexico. So there's a lot of jealousy, possessiveness, shadow dominance plays, control problems, and intimidation of your power. You are in a situation where I think that you're with someone who has a fierce loyalty and protectiveness about you. Some of you guys are in a leadership position, or you have an ally with a person of authority. You are protected and secured in a situation. Your wealth, finances, and abundance are protected. A lot of you guys, this bear, this person could be like a bear, they can feel like a bear, they can be built like a bear, lol. And they are a dependable and protective partner. So there's someone with strong feelings that may not express them softly and openly, but I think that they could be possessive and jealous, okay? Or you're dealing with people who are really jealous of this, like, dependable and reliable partner that you have, okay? And I think that this could be a matter around your house where, they just keep seeing someone showing up for you, okay? They just keep seeing someone showing up for you, and it makes them, it becomes burdensome because it means that they don't have anybody to show up for them. And so this is why it produces water, okay? Because, they are like a friend, okay? I think that some of them are friends, and they, they're very selective about the access in this energy. I think that you and your partner really value, with this cat energy, you really value freedom and, approach your relationships with a healthy giving and receiving. I think that you support independence in a situation. And so there's this, I think that you might have the intuition where, there's something subtle happening where that this person, they generally symbolize an envy, right? But I think that they're trying to like draw on time and water when you're away, being independent, okay? And so this creates a dependency, of someone who needs to be like chasing a validation, okay? And I think that in this situation, remain unbothered, friend, because do not chase validation and honor your own needs, because this person in the environment, they could turn into a little copycat of you, or it becomes an emotional situation for you and your dependable partner or something like that, or around your house, because there's someone who truly, they truly get burdened by the, just seeing you living or something like that. And so that means that they don't have that kind of support. They don't have those kinds of experiences. And I think that it makes you guys want to extend gifts and kindness, but I think that it also can draw possessiveness and jealousy that you need to stay on the advantage of, right? Because of your beauty, okay? And because that like someone who has a nose or something about their face declines in a way, we know that they're really having to, because they are not as beautiful, some of them don't have as much power, right? And I think that beauty will always be the emotional security in a situation. Beauty will always be home and the priority. I was recently watching a program about that. It was really interesting, talking about how if beauty can survive these big forces of people, okay? Because I also think that the fire element could be so detrimental. You can literally burn a house down or burn people's ego down, okay? And I think that this person in the environment, you guys are very independent and don't chase validation with one another, and they could be trying to take an opportunity to like chase validation, okay? But it's really, them showing an uncontrollable insecurity about your dependable and reliable partner, okay? So I think that you're on the advantage of a change that needs to happen around this situation, okay? So let's see what's going on, friends, okay? Yeah, it's something about they're deceptive as hell, okay? And it's because a lot of them, they have an official position. Some of them, they have a contract. They have this could literally be a transactional relationship, a relationship that takes on a tradition or form, a structure, something where this person or a situation could be involved in a routine. And I think that there's someone's name that's Lisa, or someone's name, there are girls here. I'm hearing a lot of girls, okay, a group of girls where they pretend to be home or they pretend to be cool, but they're really in a deep they're really in a shadow dominance play about your beauty. Okay, having control problems and issues about your beauty, when they're just like, a lot of them, they're not given the crown, or they become a whole jelly team of people. And I think that becomes burdensome, because you realize there's so much hate around you, and I think that makes you guys really emotional. Okay. I also think that you guys start getting scared because of your big butt, or because of your body type. Okay, some of these people, they try to act cool, but if they see your body looking right in some type of way, they're really pissed off about your body and how it's in a home. Okay. So let's see, tell me about this situation that, I think that this involves a partner and alliance. Okay, I think that you guys, when you're away, you wish, yearn, and fantasize about each other. But there's someone in the environment that could be chasing validation. And this is all some kind of mechanism that they're trying to build. They're trying to build an emotional rapport, or they're trying to compete for dominance, but it's like a shadow dominance. Something about their face card declines, or something about them could be from a different racial group, like they could be Mexican or white, or brown, Indian, right? They could literally be pulling on someone's shadow insecurity or systemic oppression. And it's, you guys are like, adulting away, independent, not chasing validation. But I think that, there's a group of them. Okay, friend. Okay, they could be like, I don't know, it just feels like some of these people are not really, they're like involved in a transaction, or they're around your home in some type of way. Okay, a group. That card keeps coming out, right? Wow, wow, wow. Obsessively watching tarot readings. I know that you guys know about this fox. I think that you know that this person is in the environment, and a lot of you guys, they need a lot of consent around your house, or something like that. Like something where these people could, there's a quarter right here where they get aggressive about your sex because of your big butt, or something where you kind of like need to approach them like with a legal transcription or something. I don't know, with the legal, you need to address them in a manner to be prescribed by the law. Okay, because a lot of this is your partner in alliance, and there's something consensual that needs to happen here. There's like an admittance, maybe there's a security clearance, there's like official letters, maybe there's like a record that gets kept at a door. Maybe this does involve the military, but I think that there's something here where this person doesn't have peace, and they're pretending to like have peace around your partnership and alliance. But the reason why this is deceptive, because we just really covered this in the second house. We just covered this in the collective reading yesterday. What you're about to notice, like you're about to notice this fox in the environment. This person, they will try to compete for dominance, and try to build an emotional rapport. And I think that some of you guys could really become obsessed with watching this, because you know that it involves your finances, values, and possessions, right, through the second house. And so that this person around, that's why you need to be prescribed by law in this situation. And so I think that this breaks your heart, because this person, you and your person are wild about each other, and a lot of you guys, it feels like it kind of takes away from your peace, or it takes away from your intimate sanctuary, right? Because that you have to deal with them, you have to deal with the law now. Some of them, they do something deceptive without consent. And so a lot of you, you don't have the same values, or they're obsessed with your finances and possessions. Okay, and so I think that obsessively watching the tarot in this situation is not going to keep you on the advantage. I think that you need to stick to the law and a policy somewhere. If there's like a transaction, a key card access, some kind of security, some kind of quartering here where they're around the home, or around finances, possessions, and values. Okay, and they do not they're wearing a facade, a mask, okay? So, I think that's scary, friend, okay? And I think that you might feel like you need to go to war, okay? Or this is, because this person, that they're going to chase validation, okay? And you need to, like, stay on. I think that the advantage that you're on is that, for one, this person is wild about you, okay? You guys have a lot of passionate intimacy, right? And so anybody that's around a transaction, looking at the finances, possessions, and values, they really don't have much of a rapport to build on, except for like something where they kind of give it away, by asking about finances, values, and possessions. Some of them, they offer finances or values and possessions. So this is how they make offers of money, okay? Some of them, these are literally women that offer men money. They offer them resources, like they offer them, to help them with something. Maybe they offer to do their hair, or give them possessions or something like that. And they're doing a lot of this without consent. Some of them, they force themselves onto the men, or they force themselves into their lap if you're at the club or something like that. Like, these people are literally do something. You need to ask men for their consent too, y'all. You cannot just be forcing men, just because you obsessed with their woman. You know what I'm saying? So, like, stop doing that, Hazel. Like, that's scary. Stop forcing men to do, you have to have their consent as well. The men have the right to defend themselves. If you're trying to be a domestic abuser, these men have a right to, to defend themselves. And I think that they, it could be easy, putting someone in a position where, like, you expect them to be right, because, oh, they work the desk, or, oh, they're just an authority, oh, that's just my friend, oh, that's just, that's just the owner of the facility, that's just the owner of the house, that's just the owner of the property, right? Oh, whoa, no, these people are literally growing unhinged about, your body type and your, possessions in a partnership and alliance, okay? And so I think that, I think there have been warnings here. I think that you have, prescribed a lot of law and a lot of legal terms for this person to kind of, like, keep, like, for you and your partner to keep it professional, because you guys, they're the owner of something, okay, where this is where their possessions, there involves a lot of their possessions or your possessions, and, a lot of these people will try to do something deceptive to kind of hurt you guys through the second house, because they see that you're wild sexually, okay? They're obsessed, and I think that you become obsessed too, because you're scared that someone's gonna steal, emotions, when really, like, it's really someone who just traps them with a financial opportunity. Some of them try to trap them with a financial opportunity, and I think that your advantage is that you prescribe law. A lot of you guys are lawyers, or work as legal assistants, paralegals. Just know the damn law, right? You know how to. I think that you will, and and you shall protect yourself, okay, as an owner of something. Because these people will want to go to war about your finances, values, and possessions by trying to trap them with financial opportunities, or try to build an emotional rapport, with the chase of validation. They will chase validation, and so it becomes burdensome to your partner, because they realize that they see your like, a lot of these people. I think that what makes it even more sad is like, imagine everyone 200 million people know that Beyonce and Jay-Z have been married for like 20 years or something like that, and they got all those kids, and they're just known for having a beautiful music empire and stuff like that. And then, like, imagine some obsessed fan watching the finances, values, and possessions, not able to, like, seeing you guys wild about each other, but, like, keeps coming around Jay-Z asking for, like, possessions, or, like, asking for validation. Like, they're just like, oh, it makes us sad that they're envious, right? I think that that's the water that they build, is that they kind of, like, they give validation on a pity, okay? And then we have allowance, okay? I think that your person and you, I think that you guys, you're very allowing with this cat energy. You guys are very allowing, or you're very independent. You really don't chase each other's validation in this way. I think that you guys are wild about each other, and you think about each other a lot. And you show each other through physical touch, or whatever way that you've allied, that you guys are really dependable and loyal. But I think that this is somebody, this is somebody or something that's coming your way, And don't judge it. It's just going to show you who the owner is, for one, and it's you. And a lot of that, they have to show people what they value, and they will show you what they value as well. If they're not able to protect the owner, or if they're not able to protect their quartering, they're not able to protect their marriage, if they allow something to come your way, if they allow something to come allow this thing to come your way without opinion, fear, or resistance. Because a lot of the advantage you have here is that you just will approach them with law and with the policy. And I think that I think that you and your partner, you maintain your independence. I think that you are on the advantage to maintain your independence. While you guys are away dreaming about each other, it could feel like, jealousy or possessiveness can arise when you think about, people around. I also think that, there's this person, I think that the allowance energy is here, but I think that you're also, you also are, you're one of your values that you have to kind of learn in this partnership and alliance is who gets access to you guys, right? If this person becomes your partner in a wondrous dance, right, of existence and expansion, then you might value them a lot. But some of them, they don't value their house the same way, okay? Or they don't value their time and energy the same way. So this becomes burdensome when you may learn that they're giving time and energy to someone that wants to kind of obstruct ownership, obstruct finances, values, and possessions, and you just want them to approach it with like the law, I think, okay? I think the best thing that you can do is to stay self-reliant, because you don't know if this person values these finances and possessions and whatever state of existence that you're in the same way. Like they definitely could be wild about you, but we don't know if that's a positive obsession or a negative obsession. Some of these people just get drawn to a siren because of a lust or brainwashing, okay? And a lot of that means that they kind of like fall for that very reason as well, okay? So I think that there's no judgment in this situation. I think that you guys, take a journey together. They become a partner, right, in a wondrous dance. You guys expand so much together, and I think that your existence, whatever happens in a situation, whether you win this war or lose this war with this person, you kind of realize that you don't lose any peace in a situation because you expand so much. And I think that your partner, if they didn't value the time and the energy and the selective accesses, they didn't have a selective access the way that you had, then you just realize that you guys came to this situation with an incompatible expectation, incompatible values, right? You might be sexy and still, right? But I think that I think that you stay open to whatever comes your way, and they as well, okay? And I think that this fox comes their way, and something about it could lose value, or they have to decide what they value in a situation, okay? So let's keep going, friends. What's your hidden advantage in this situation? Yeah, your win, okay? I think that you do win because it becomes clear that you're the owner, okay? And they need to like put up a boundary here with someone that's involved in a transaction, someone that is involved in around the quartering, or they put up boundaries when they start to recite the law. I think that you guys start to recite the law or inquire about the policy, clarify your policy ideas and the law, right? And you leave them to be independent and trust that they will make those choices, okay? And I think that doing that, you actually are very triumphant around this fox in the environment. They thought that they were going to create an ending, when they did something without consent. Something where they do something without consent to act, and with like asking for time and energy. And it's just, they just feel like, I think your partner moves on. They decide that that's not what they value, and that they don't, I think that you become triumphant in learning that like someone's burdensome envy is not your responsibility, okay? Yeah, because I think that they were in a conflict, right? And I think that there could have been, you know, you guys could have been rejoicing in celebration, wild about each other. And there are like these people in the environment doing something without consent to conflict, okay? Um, because they see a marriage and they see an official position, and they just, they have to decide, what they value. If they don't, like, I think that you experience conflict and defeat when this person doesn't prescribe to the law, right? This could be your partner where they're irresponsible, right? That's their own that's a rejection as well, a self-rejection, where they don't put their partner first, or that they don't, that they risk their partner with the lesser value, is what I'm hearing, okay? So I think that this person in the environment is deceptive or doing something without consent. Okay, lol, they're literally doing something without consent, friends. And so I think that you handle them with especially if you guys have authority, legal, business, legal, some kind of a business or legal authority in some type of way. You are triumphant because I'm hearing you clap back with the law, friend, okay? And I don't think that you judge them, but I think that you might express your opinion, or you don't, you're not fearful around the situation, especially if this is about your quartering. This person is literally so, like, impulsive, ruthless, and boring, okay? Because it's literally about your finances, your values, and possessions. And so they could become a copycat of you if they're just looking for money, right? Something, if they give this time, or energy or insight into your relationship, that's betrayal, right? Some of them just have a pessimistic mood swing when they realize this envy burden around your relationship. I also feel like a lot of this was, this person was chasing validation or doing something, and what manifested was, envy, okay, or an opinion. I think that it manifested as them having an opinion about something, and I just don't think that, they need to decide if they value the opinion of this person in the environment that just, over their partner. You know what I'm saying? Like something where they need to decide if they value the opinion of this partner, of this person over their partner. Something where they could have an opinion about your hair. Like a lot of people will do this. They're obsessed with black people hair, right? So like they'll have a lot of opinions about your hair. Something where you were very triumphant with your hair, especially if you had a hair restoration. You're very triumphant about that. I also feel like somebody, they try to use hair, or they try to use their beauty, or they try to act like that's like something that they value so much, and it's like something where you realize that's the, if they're like trying to, if you guys have been in hair restoration or have problems with your hair, like Elon Musk too, right? Like trying to talk about his hair when he's like this big rocket scientist is like wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't care about his hair, we don't care about his physical appearance. We're like sending rockets to another planet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're in a wondrous dance with the whole entire universe in the space city at NASA University. So like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So like, a lot of people will try, like, what are you valuing? Like, are you valuing someone's hair? Are you valuing their physical appearance? Like, are you so unhinged about like hair or something, or physical appearance, that you lose value, right? Okay. And I think that you are loved unconditionally in a situation. So, you guys came into each other's lives without judgment, opinion, fear, or resistance. And so people who start to chase validation, they start to form opinions about, and try to find, they're wild about you. So clearly, they didn't judge you for your physical appearance, or they that's what they value. Okay, some of them, they valued their wild thoughts about you, right? And how you became a partner. It's like something where you became an owner and a partner, or you started living together, or you became quartered in their house. You know what I'm saying? And there's like somebody that came around that showed with a shadow dominance play, who was only concerned with finances, values, and finances and possessions. And so they had to determine what they valued in a situation. Okay, if they had this opportunity to, whether they were selective with their energy or not, whether they, maintain, this professionalism or this prescription of law, or whether they devalue themselves and their partner in this way. Okay, so tell me what's the hidden advantage you have in this situation? Okay, I think that you have a greater value than this person, no matter what kind of, shallow projections of physical appearances like hair or something. Okay, but you'll notice that like a lot of black girls or Mexicans with hair or something like that will try to come around with the conflict and or to try to defeat you with with an expression of a value that that can make them reconsider, or they can make them I don't think that this changes their wild thoughts about you, but I think that it might change what they value, is what I'm hearing. Okay, some of them, they do have a problem with you dancing, okay, with you being a stripper or some type of way. So that could be a lot of easy opportunities to chase validation when they know you're away with this wild body or something like that. Okay, we have the Chariot. What is your hidden advantage in this situation? Group 2, what's your hidden advantage in this situation? I think that you guys start a new beginning with one another. I don't think that this breaks down your relationship, but I think that they express an opinion where they have to decide what they value. Okay, but it's really like it was really a shadow dominance play around something, right, around you, to try to turn a judgment to you, or to try to trap them into some kind of shallow chase of finances. Okay, group 2 with the Queen of Swords, right? What is your advantage in this situation? You guys are very clear under the law about something. Okay, so that's your advantage for sure. And I think that you and your partner stand up to this situation. Okay, because like if it's around your home, okay, or around like that someone is like considering your intimacy, you guys become scared. Okay, some people, you guys could become scared, or you teach them the law. Okay, and when you teach them the law, this person, I think that when you teach them the law, they realize that somebody was just considering finances and possessions. Okay, that this was a chase for validation to steal finances and possessions, and they feel defeated in a way. They feel some of them, they feel split. Okay, when this cat or this copycat of you expresses an opinion or tries to establish a value, they kind of like split themselves or something like that. Something where they could split, or they're subconscious about this this value. Okay, some of you guys may have been subconscious about this value of hair, and I think it was divine timing for you to fix your hair or something like that. Okay, and learn, right? So we have the Knight of Cups here. Okay, yeah, I think that they're very romantic and dreamy about your friend. Okay, so I don't think that this is a situation. I think that you're triumphant and holding their romantic interest, but I do think that someone in the environment wants to interrupt the quarters. Okay, and I think that they know that they need to devalue their partner despite whatever opinions that they're copycatting. Okay, they need to value your dance, or they need to value your they need to value their finances. They need to value what you guys have together. I think that's something where they stop, they're dealing with something subconscious where they're not totally valuing their material realm with you. And a lot of you just are, some of you guys are more successful than this person. You have a greater, deeper value. Okay, in general, you have more of a material consideration or value of your material considerations. And this person, they just I think that they learn that somebody is just obsessed with your possessions and finances, and that they were trying to, that was the shadow dominance play, right? That was not actually true value. Okay, that person was not actually true value, is what you learn, right? Someone in an obsessive asking for time and energy and possessions. It's just like, a lot of them are doing something without consent, right? And so it's weird that they do this. This is why they feel defeated, or this is why they don't have peace. It's because you guys are in this consensual courting with one another, or in this alliance, and it reflects that you value each other if you guys are there. So I think that you're evolving your commitment into a manner to be prescribed by law, and that protects you guys, your possessions and finances and ownerships even more, right? I think that this person, there's a cycle where they need to, they're independent to explore and give and receive, and to not fear or judge anything around them. But they realize that a lot of this naivete and what they experience also helps them. They also need to continue to master and hone their own value. Okay. Group 2, okay, with the Queen of Swords, right? Yeah, the Ace of Cups. You're the one that gets the cup of love, friend. You're the one that gets the selective access. And so you just need to stand up to these people around the environment doing something without consent, and say, hey, here's the law, okay? With the 9 of Wands, right? Or excuse me, what is that? That's the 8 of Wands. Yeah, you guys are expanding, and I think that this person who was doing something, I'm hearing that they're making offers, or they're in a one-sided, offering, okay? And there's it's not their partner, or they literally have they literally can't they're getting rejected, or they're literally just doing something without consent. And it's not an affirmative consent. This person is not. I think that they're starting to let go and starting to heal. But you were triumphant in holding your romantic interest. And these other people, I think that they tried to defeat you or conflict with you. And it was because they wanted to take your position. They wanted to take your partner. Okay, so I think that you're on the advantage of this offer that they're making without consent. Okay, something that is happening. They're really into you, something where they could be into your partner, or I don't think they're really into them, but I think that they're just, there's someone fighting for, there's someone fighting for dominance. Okay, and they're not giving the cup of love, friends. They're not giving the offer. Okay. And your person, they decide that they value you despite whatever shadow dominance of a Mexican or some hair typing, skin typing thing, okay? And I think it just makes it really awkward, because you guys start to just prescribe the law in a situation, because they were chasing validation or doing something, asking for possessions, or obsessed with possessions and finances, and you turn around and see. I think that you learn or evolve your commitment with the mastering of your values in this situation, okay? So let's get the advice cards, friends. Group 2, okay? What's the advice in this situation? Your body, I'm hearing your body was armored in the situation. Anybody that tried to come for your body, they were not the body that got the offer. Okay, even if they had hair, friends, something like that. Even if they had hair or something like that. Okay, we have the barn owl, wisdom and perception. Yeah, your person is very wise. Okay, and so a lot of them, they know that people are going to try to seduce them with hair, or seduce them with a colorism, like a Mexican or something, and then they just are they try to pull on those shadow dominance values of an oppressed culture and group. You know what I'm saying? Something where you literally have to go to war with these people because they're doing something without consent. You know what I'm saying? They're making offers without consent, they're literally chasing your person down, chasing you guys down with their envy, right? And you guys just start a new beginning. Okay, is what I'm hearing. Okay, and you shift your perception of this fox in the environment, because some of them take up, they have they could be an employee, they can be an authority in a position, something where you might have to get consent from them in some type of way, there's some kind of transaction, right? And I just think that you are very wise in this situation, and you're healing as well, especially if this was they needed to challenge your perception of values, okay? and have to choose their partner. And I think that they do choose you. Okay. Okay. So this other person feels really defeated. Okay. We have the common cuckoo. Yeah, they were common. Common deception, opportunism, okay, of hair, skin typing. Like those Mexicans, they come around, you know, they that's what they bet on. They bet on black men folding on their family and like looking for hair and skin. You know what I'm saying? Like they bet on that. You know what I'm saying? If this is an age difference relationship, they bet on, you know, your body, you know, on pulling on their insecurities about their physical body, or them having anxieties about reaching old age, right? Some of them, you guys, like I said, with this cat energy, you're very independent and very not chasing the validation with one another, and you're just away, you know, thinking about each other in a wild way with the Knight of Cups, right? Wild thoughts with the Knight of Cups. They're very much so thinking about you. But I think that you're on the advantage of something that could try to get them to revoke offers. But I think that once they challenged their perception, they learned that this was deception and opportunism, that somebody was taking an opportunity. You know, you're taking an opportunity to try to steal, you know, steal a black man away from his family because you have like a hair and skin typing and he's just like a oppressed person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just an opportunist looking for opportunity. You really don't fuck with black people. You really just are there, and you know, in the urban economy, is trying to steal their wealth, right? Not hiring the black girls at the clubs, not getting, you know, they're not getting hired as dancers because they keep lining up those, you know, Latinas and stuff like that because of hair and skin and more a closer, you know, image of white supremacy, right? And these are all systems of oppression that are opportunism, that is deception, right? Some of this is literally just them doing something without consent, and your person is, you guys are, they're just there, you know, receptive as hell to you, making offers to you and loving you unconditionally. And when they shift their perspective a bit, I think that's something that you do, you know, in a situation, to prescribe the law to them, or to, like, the way that you guys are allied and partner. I think that what you provide for each other helps each other shift the perspective to protect against the deception, opportunism, truthfully. But I think that these are just common cuckoos, baby. These are common birds, right? Yeah, with the meadowlark, good cheer and domesticity. Yeah, you guys were a good cheer and domesticity friends. Don't, you know, keep your mind healthy, keep your thoughts clean. Think beautifully, and you're attracting this person with your beautiful thoughts, and they love you unconditionally. Somebody that comes around like a bird, it's like a bird convention that deliberately does something to betray the relationship or try to undermine the security in some type of way because they like are so, that was like that's a conventional problem that you become obsessed with, like a domestic partnership. Like, there's literally a domestic partnership here, and there's someone that's just like chasing validation, right? And that's not, you know, it's not getting the offer, it's not getting, you know, receptive. And this person is wise and honestly shifts their perception and evolves their commitment with the deeper value. You guys actually start a new beginning after this person comes in. And we learned that they're obsessed with the possessions, right? Especially if they copy some of the possessions, that means that they become obsessed with it, right? Or we notice that they don't have possessions. You already know, friend. You know, a Mexican coming around with, you know, a 1-2 dance step and, you know, some $2 heels and a you know, a panty and bra set, right? You know, they don't really have no dance clothes or something like that. You know, they're gonna just like be deceptive. You know that they're gonna be desperate for, you know, to make any kind of money. You know that they're gonna do whatever. They don't have any, if they don't have anything around them, just know that that's like, you know, that they're prone to deception, right? Because they're in a survival state where they don't have anything but you know, some hair, right? LOL. That's what I'm saying, friends. Let me know how that resonates about, you know, what's your hidden advantage in a situation. Your hidden advantage is that you are on the advantage of receiving, you know, the self-love, okay, cup, where they don't, you know, they don't conflict with you because of an insecurity about possessions, finances, or hair, okay, or some kind of, you know, white supremacy standard of beauty, European standard of beauty, okay? I love you so much, friends. Let me know how that resonates. Good luck out there. These other people in the environment, they literally just have no aim and purpose, especially the more you prescribe the law together and ally around the domestic space. You learn how that you need to honestly protect. They learn that they actually need to protect their finances and possessions. If they don't protect their finances and possessions, that means that they don't really value them, and so you shouldn't value it either. Okay, I love you guys so much. Let me know how that resonates, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hi, group 3. Welcome to your selection. So you chose the butterfly energy. Okay, that's my second butterfly on my channel. Okay, but anyway, what what hidden advantage are you having in a situation? Okay, what hidden advantage are you having in a situation? Your body. Okay, this was kind of piggybacking off of group 1. Your body makes you the emperor, friend. I'm hearing something about your body. Your body was armored in a situation, like you had that big body on you or something like that. Or, anybody that wanted to kind of like, it's like something where this could have been a competition for sex or beauty, okay? And I will say that you have the advantage in the situation. It looks, especially if you have like a hourglass shape, that's a, that's a dick hardening pose, okay? Historical dick hardening pose, okay? So don't worry about that, friend. I think that sometimes I think that the reason why your relationships cannot work out, you can feel like you have this big body on display, and I think that you are very protected. Your ego is very protected in a situation, okay? Because you know that your body is T, LOL, and you know that you have a wonderful expression and personality. But I think that your biggest challenge around your, that you could face in your life is being unique, eccentric, and an individual. The reason why people might not choose you, especially if you're like, oh my God, all these karmic relationships, all these failed partners, all these people who, they didn't want to be unique, friend. Okay, they wanted to be conservative. They wanted to be a convention. They didn't want to stand out, right? They hid their deep feelings for you. It's easy to project an issue around your physical appearance, but you guys know that your body usually looks the best, is what I'm hearing, okay? But you also come with a eccentricity, a uniqueness, a spirituality, a purpose, and that's not everybody's pathway in life, okay? So something about you could be extremely talented and gifted, okay? Exceptional gifts and qualities, and this is not, especially if it involves a performance, this is not for the faint of heart, friend. That's not something that everyone wants to have. Not everybody is performative. A lot of these people are wallflowers, losers, okay? So let's get into it, friends. What is your advantage in this situation? What is your hidden advantage in this situation, okay? Because I think that you're on the advantage of something, of a reversal, okay? Of a reversal. Yeah, a child, okay. Yeah, this child, yeah, 2 children, okay. I think that this could be 2 children, or, these are, I think that they're codependent, right? And I think that there's a fight, with these people, okay. There could be a fight, because they feel that they need to prioritize their child or something like that, or there's something, that they have a complication about these, children, okay? Some of you guys could be coming to this, a new romantic relationship, and both of you guys have co-parenting situations from previous reproduction, or other relationships where you reproduced, okay? Some of you guys, you really, there are big discords with the mother or father of your children, because those are people that you experienced a lot with, and you discover a lot of yourself with them, okay? I think that there's also, these children in the environment that are not really, they're not really nurturing, sensitive, and caring, but they come around looking for nurturance, okay? And this is like, I think that you're totally rejecting them because of their body or something like that. Like some of them, you could be having a fight, with your spouse or somebody, because you know that these children are obsessed with your body, or they're codependent on your body in some type of way. And these are like, some of these are not your children, y'all. And so, I think that there's a big change that happens because of a fight about these, about some children, okay, or about time and energy that's allotted to children, where they're not the nurturing, sensitive, and care, but some of them do get violent, angry, and aggressive, okay? And I think that that's when you they're children, they're not having an intimate relationship, but they are trying to defend something, is what I'm hearing. Okay, they're trying to defend something. I think that they're not intimate, okay, but they're violent, angry, and aggressive, or they create anger and aggression in some type of way. Okay, you guys discover something about yourselves, or there's truly a complication with with your performance around these children, like something where if you express that you don't like their body or you don't like the way they look, they're really, because they're children, we already know that they're codependent on your body, right? Because they're not fully developed, or they're not fully maturated, just like in their mind. But a lot of this is also they try to project some unconventional age problem. Okay. I also feel like they, because of your butt and some of you guys, you have a really pretty face, and once the edge line was secured, the face card did not decline. Okay. Yeah, something about these children, they're ambitious too. Okay, something about the children, they're ambitious too, but they're angry and violent about your body because they're the body that doesn't have a responsibility, and they're the body that was not chosen to grow within old ages. Something where they might break promises because of obligations with their children. Some of them, you just take on the role of as their teacher, and I think that you may have expressed that you didn't want to be their teacher, you didn't want to be their co-parent, you didn't want to be their stepmom or stepdad, you didn't want to have the responsibility of these children. You told them to stop giving to the children. You told them no free yoga classes, no fashion classes, no performance, no inquiries about performance, no time. Something where you basically see, because I think that these are children in competition, right? And they're just not, they don't have a real responsibility, or they're ruled by a limitation and restriction, and that's why they come up as a child, friend. And a lot of you're just seen as their teacher, or some of you guys are older than them, and I just don't think that you've learned a pattern of their behavior because they're children. And you're over here, something where you could be very mature, have an authority, be the one that stands the test of time, reach a senior status, starts reigning over their assets in a way. And they were not passionate, driven, and as determined, because their body was not capable enough. They were not mentally strong enough. Okay, we have the letter U. And I think that's something where you could also I think that you guys are reaching old age, or you're ill, or you have been overcoming some adversity and crisis, and these children just represent like challenges or angry, violent people that you're just like, put up the limitations and restrictions. I've learned a lot of life, like something where you might even, I think that when you start to, your hidden advantage in this situation is your discipline, hard work, and responsibility. But like you also just like, I think that your intimacy is strong. Okay, is what I'm hearing. I also, what was I gonna say, friend? I think that like the hidden advantage that you could have here is, you know that they're going to be a competition, but they're not really. They're paternal attachment issues because they're children. Okay, they're people that need time and energy because they don't have enough. They're not capable enough within their own body and mind. So this is, you're the role of their teacher, but they try to act like competition. And I think that the more you express in this situation, I think that they learn that that's not passion, that's someone that's violent and aggressive, that's someone that, that doesn't have a concept of time, a child that doesn't have a concept of time. You know, Peggy, the old clock worker, like, you know, that Claude likes to tell me stories about Peggy, the old clock maker, right? These people, like these children, don't have a concept of time. They're not responsible. Some of them are not disciplined. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not passionate about their own life. They need to learn a lot from you and then try to act like it's a competition, okay? And so this is like a big life lesson that you learn. Like, someone who is dependent on your body, okay? They're aggressive about your body. Because it's full, you're fully matured, you're a teacher, you're old age, right? You're responsible. Like, it's not just about the way that your body looks, it's the role that your body plays and how your body reigns over assets, and how there's a lot of restrictions and limitations with them as children and away from you as like the body that's intimate, okay? But I think that you guys learn something about yourselves, or you learn a life lesson around these children, okay? You learn a life lesson around these children, especially the brown children, the black kids, right? You know, you have to stand up to them a lot, is what I'm hearing. You know, these black kids on the transit and stuff like that, they are just, you know, they're very aggressive and wild. These kids these days, I'm sorry, y'all, I don't want to sound old and like outdated and, you know, have a politeness of a white supremacist, but I just think that, you know, these children, and these could be children in the public on the transit, y'all. These are like, I'm hearing like there's a lot of children around. This could even be their children. This could be your ex-spouse's children, like something where there could be a conflict with their children or children in the environment, and you're just met with, it's so much, like you have to work so hard, and so you're just like not trying to carry the burden of communicating with children, okay? I think some of you guys really just don't want children, or you know, you're not trying to teach them any lessons, like no yoga classes, no fashion classes, no free money, no free gifts, no approaches to life, no. And I think that you have this romantic love, and these children see your romantic love. Like I said, you're the one experiencing the romantic love, and they become, you know, they see the structure forming, they see it mature, they see you guys, you know, you guys having traditions in your relationships, and they try to compete for your romantic love, friends, okay? But they're not. They're very limited and restricted, okay? And how they are able to reflect to your lover, okay? You guys are there complete and whole through the experience of each other's reflections and consciousness, with you know, a power to stand up to everyday challenges together, with, you know, action and drive towards one another, reaching old age with one another, being disciplined and responsible with one another. And there's like children who have no responsibilities, where, you know, your partner may feel the need to nurture them. And I just think that after these, you know, I don't know, they could look fully grown, Fran, or something like that. But if they became angry or violent, or you realize that they were defensive towards you, I don't think that you take up the role as their teacher, okay? So I think that this has been the mental conflict that your good partner has been in with these children, where they expect you to be their teacher, and that they form this dependency on you because they're angry and violent, and then you're just like expected to teach them and share with them your abundance, and you're just like, I'm going to stay disciplined and responsible. And I also think that you hold your strong boundaries, because if they want to nurture children, that means a lot of they can have this experiences and time and intimacy with you, and then try to give it to the children, or, you know, relate to the children that are in competition. And I think that creates conflict, that creates, you know, these weird illusions and perceptions where that they need to challenge, because they have, you know, hidden motivations, ulterior motives. Or ultimately they're just a child. They're not really a threat. You know what I'm saying? They're not really a threat to your love, friend, or your journey, okay? Because they don't have a concept of time and the work and the responsibility, okay? So they don't become a partner in the wondrous dance. They're met with the limitation and restriction, okay? Group 3, tell me, what's your hidden advantage in this situation? Okay, yeah, this is triggering, right? Because this is a life lesson where children try to compete for your romantic partner, or their children get in the way, okay? And I think that you guys are darling. I think that you and your partner are just darling, Fran. You know, your lover is conscious, and you might not have been expecting that, but I think that you guys have a lot of work to do together if you are conscious reflection. Some of you have a mutual dream, or you need to stay disciplined around something because of this consciousness that you have. And I think that is triggering, because they are triggered, okay? And you're in a romantic situation, so that's a whole new level of vulnerability, right? So tell me about your hidden advantage in the situation. You definitely have the stronger willpower in the situation. You're definitely the one that has more time and communication with them. You definitely have the I'm hearing that you have the advantage of doing something innovative, where they don't really have a consciousness or concept of the work and responsibility, okay? And I also think that they're dealing with someone with a senior status, lol. And this masculine energy is they have learned a lot of patterns, okay? Or they've had a lot of convention and tradition in their life. Some of them have had tremendously more structure and time than you, okay? So they have learned these patterns of behavior of children. But I think that there's something that got violent, okay, when there was trigger, when you guys got triggered, okay? Because that there's an opportunity for them to have time or something like that, and you're letting them know we're not teaching them something, where there's a discord because you're telling your romantic lover, that's a conscious lover, that you don't want to be their teacher, and so they can't be their teacher either because they're in a competition, right? So that's no, friend, okay? They came out in PAL 2 as well, okay? These children are a big life lesson, okay? Whether that's their children or whether it's something that makes them feel fear, okay? Or something where they need to bring a balance to a situation, okay? And you possibly need to bring a balance too, especially if you guys start fighting, right? Like, don't get violent and aggressive about like some competition with a child that doesn't really hold a responsibility or doesn't really experience their same role as you, okay? I just think that you're in a lot of fear, because romantic love is triggering, okay? But I'm hearing somebody with a child. This could be the mother or father of their children, or children in the environment that try to get time, okay? And I think that you need to stand up to it and say, hey, I'm not your teacher. You're angry, violent, and aggressive. That's a behavioral health problem. That's not my responsibility. Those are not my kids. And I do not know them hoes. Okay? Okay. Yeah, your partner, the 7th house, right? You have this one-on-one relationship with them. And they're restricted and limited, friends. So that's not a responsibility. Okay? But I do think that they're in a competition. So, let's see what happens in this, how does your partner, I know that your partner could have a child, friend, and sometimes that takes the responsibility, okay? But, I think that some of them, they trapped in a limitation because they're old age, right? Some of them are senior status or old age, and they know that they just by default take up this, take up the role of the teacher, right? Your partner also teaches you, okay? And I think that they are finding their balance where they learn that these children are aggressive and defensive about your romantic love, but need to be taught something, okay? And I think that teaching is just something that they do with old age, friend, okay? It happens by default, but they're not experiencing the reflection of a conscious lover, okay? They don't get the same amount of time. They get limited and restricted because they're children, okay? But some of them, there was a conflict or defeat or like some kind of challenge around this person, okay? That may have commanded you to stand up to it because that they were in a competition for your romantic love, and I think that just created fear, okay? I think that they don't have much of a one-on-one relationship, or they're one-on-one, they really get a cold, I think that a lot of this was like, this person, I think that they were already in a loss towards you, okay? But I think that's something where there was conflict about your work, something where you had to be hardworking and disciplined, and I think that you reflected this consciously to your lover, and you guys experienced victory. But I think that triggerings could lead to conflicts, for one, okay? Because you guys are very passionate in this romantic love. But I think that you bring balance and say, hey, I'm not going to let I know that some children have been aggressive, violent, or posing as challenges, but I think that the complication is that a lot of them, if there's age difference in your relationship, they could have had a complication around your age difference, and then they learned that you work hard too. Something where they learned that you were on a time schedule, that you work hard as hell, that you weren't just this beauty and brains. They may have gotten more communication with you, or you guys had a conversation about your responsibilities, and maybe you told them that you didn't want to be no teacher, you worked too hard or something like that. Like, this person learned that you were just, that this was not, that this was an experience, that this was not, that this is an experience, and that these children in the environment are envious of the experience because they don't have responsibility and hard work. You know what I'm saying? They're not disciplined, right? And even if they're in the same age group, they're seen as children, or people who are not fully matured, right? And so this is very triggering. Something where they got angry about your feet too. Something where the children got angry. Children get angry about your feet and your shoes. I'd be seeing so many of these kids in Houston. The black kids act so crazy and rambunctious, y'all. They literally are flipping around the bus, and they're cursing their authorities out. They're fighting the bus driver. Like, y'all, they're literally fighting each other. They're bullying people. I literally see whole groups of black kids jumping. I'm like, I thought that was so outdated. Like, who's hanging around their neighborhood fighting? Like, that's so outdated, right? That's not how my children act. My children don't act like that. My friends' children don't act like that. A lot of y'all have assimilated into the dominant culture, and your children are a lot more, you have a lot more cool, you're a lot more calm, and these children are just like buck wild, rambunctious, and a lot of y'all, you're just like, you are bougie, your children, you have different children or different parenting styles here or something like that, and it's just really triggering these kids in the environment. Like, I'm looking at these kids, they bigger than me, y'all, they tall and big, and they're literally attacking adults and attacking people on the transit. They're wild, rambunctious, yelling, screaming. They are literally crazy as hell. And so these children are very aggressive, and a lot of children. I'm up here a full-grown adult, friends, and these children are literally getting angry about a grown person's handbag and shoes. I'm like, look, I'm not a child, y'all. Y'all gotta stop. I'm over here working hard, and you over here aggressive about a grown woman's shoes and clothes and handbag, y'all. Okay, that means that's somebody with a responsibility, and that's someone who's earned, possessions and finances with a responsibility and a consciousness of time. But you're just a child, aggressive. Like, these children are so bad. And then, like, expect you to teach them. Like, I'm not teaching these special ed kids. Like, no. They want to send them to the behavioral health, diversion center, friend. They're just terrible. These children they led to a conflict, friend, okay? But I think that it would require you and your partner to stand up to a challenge together. Okay, so let's see, friend. Give me, let me see what's your hidden advantage in this situation, because that's spooky, right? These children, I think that the children, nothing ever moves forward with them. They're trying to compete for romantic love, but your partner and you just see them as people that you need to teach. And you're just like, I'm not teaching them shit. We're not giving them anything, okay? LOL, friend. We're not giving them anything. They're just triggering us because some of you guys just fell in love, okay? And it got real scary, having the responsibility of true love here, okay? With the high priestess, yeah, that these children are actually aggressive, okay? The hermit, yeah, and I think that your partner learns a life lesson, especially if they projected something about you, okay? From this child, they projected their experience onto a child, and that's led to a complication. It was about your approach to your life. Some of you guys are very refined children, very handsome children, right? And you are met with a lot of angry, aggressive, and children who are bewildered in a way. Some of you guys, you are privileged kids or something like that, and you just are not, even if you're in the same age group, they could have projected age difference problems. Like, you could have been in the same age group, right, within a couple of years. 3 to 9 years are not that big of a difference, but like, you actually serve as their teacher, and you could be this mature or advanced child. And so whatever some of you guys, they got triggered and got disillusioned by a plan that you had, something where they got disillusioned by a plan that you had, or something that you reflected consciously about your work and responsibility. They had a complication with these children where they projected that there was like a partnership there, okay? But this was something that they did when they were triggered, okay? And it was not, it was not the wish fulfillment that they were looking for, okay? When they got I don't know, something evolved, or you sustained, you stood the test of time, by working hard and discipline and staying responsible about something, and then learned that they were projecting their experience onto a child chasing validation in a competition. I think that a problem of them, the complication that they could have had, was old age, and they just, they feel by default that they should be taking on a role as a teacher. But I think that a lot of it got rejected, okay, got defeated. I also think that there could be like this tug of war with this child, okay, or something where they are, they're trying to take a journey too, is what I'm hearing, okay? And they keep projecting a fear that was related to a complication that they had about this child, that may have made them reevaluate something, okay? May have made them reevaluate or recontemplate something. And I think that you learned that they started stalling, or that they got triggered because of your age difference, and how the experience that they had with you was making them complete and reflecting to them a consciousness. And then they got disillusioned that this was not a responsibility, that this person was not in responsibility, right? I don't know what happened, but the children are in a, they're in a competition for romantic love, and have not been able to hold a responsibility, okay? I don't know where this Nine of Cups energy is coming from, but it feels like, you just, when you realize that they have this complication around someone or something, you also get disillusioned too, okay? So they reflect back to you something, but I think that it could dry the well, okay? Tell me more, friend. What is your hidden advantage in this situation? Okay. A hidden advantage of someone who keeps trying to I feel like they get disillusioned with time, because some of them project age difference problems, or they don't get the wish fulfillment of you, okay? Because they had a complication with this child, is what I'm hearing, okay? Something about it, they wasted up, they didn't invest properly while you were at work, okay? They could have projected onto your work in some type of way. You were way driven and determined and passionate about your work with a responsibility, and so something may have happened when they were triggered. They fell into a conflict about you away at work, or something around, your experience was projected, and it got disillusioned with time when they learned more about your responsibility, okay? That you were not a child, that you were not, that you were not experiencing with this child, something where this child was just dependent on your body or something like that. They were just obsessed, right? They were not somebody that you were really thinking about, okay? And so some of them, they thought that you were friends with them. They thought that you were relating to them. They thought that there was something there, okay? They could have thought that there was a romantic experience there, but it just was not, okay? Yeah, these children, these could be your biological children, or people who are not as developed as you in the environment, not fully developed within their hips, not fully developed within their mind, not fully developed within their bust. They're not fully developed, and they're not the lover, is what I'm hearing. Okay, but I think that they do cause a conflict with the Three of Wands reversed. Yeah, the Six of Cups reversed. Okay, this is not. You realize that they were. Okay, Queen of Swords reversed. The Six of Pentacles. Guys, I think that this kind of like, something about your romantic relationship, you could turn really cold, bitter, and sour. I think that sometimes you're using them to go rest, or you're just, once you realize that it was a projection about something superficial, it might trigger you. I am not gonna lie. It's not. I don't think that it's going to. I think that you maintain secure within yourself, or they've already gave you a crown in a way, and then start projecting about someone else. I think that it's just like their fear, okay, or this could be your fear. Take it how it resonates. But I definitely feel like it's a projection about a child, or there's a complication about the role or the duty of a child. I think that a lot of it is performance. A lot of it is the portrayal of good habits through short form video content. A lot of it is their own fear about their hair and their crown, right? And I think that you find balance in the situation, but I just don't think that you think that they're good as they used to be anymore, okay? Because they have this big burden of this child that like couldn't defeat, okay? Something where they couldn't defeat. With the Three of Pentacles, okay? I think that you guys work on a new beginning. I think that you work on something, but in a strategic way, okay? I think that they try to strategically defeat you. I think that your only advantage of someone that you work with, okay, this could be like this, if this isn't like at home, but this could be like someone in your work environment that tries to strategically defeat you, okay, in love or something like that, okay. So I think that, let's see what happens. What's your hidden advantage in this situation? The Ten of Wands reversed. I think that you're not burdened by them, for one. I think that you're the one that holds the tradition, and you're the one that holds ownership, or you're the one that has the title, is what I'm hearing, okay? But I also think that this could also mean just like leaving and severing direction, okay? I think that you find that they are deliberate, right? You find that they are angry about something. Your partner, if they're triggered, you find that they're angry about something, but it's because of something that like could trigger you as well, or it's something that they don't take responsibility for, that's not your fault even, okay? A lot of you, they just become a loser, is what I'm hearing. Some of them, they just become a loser, and they want to it's because they want to defeat you also. So that means that this is a relationship with a bird, you know what I'm saying? The Ten of Swords reverse, yeah, like a bird that is trapped in their own fear. So they will chase validation anywhere, even if it's with a child, okay? The Ace of Wands, but those are not sparks of inspiration. Those are not sparks of love. Those are that person's internal struggle, where they need to kind of work really hard to release a defensiveness about you in some type of way. I think that you work together to release a defensiveness, and they're successful in that way. But I think that you learned that they were, this was a physical codependency for fear, around fear. okay, of this child, of their own fear, and it also triggers you is what I'm hearing. But I see that you're very successful here. You're in like your economic power, but this person, I think that, I think they maintain security. I don't think that they cheat on you. I don't think that they, move forward. But I think that there's something where they get a hollow victory because of, because of a projection of a fear, okay, with your lover. And they are like, I think that your partner is like obsessed with you, but it's not in, like, they're not experiencing you one-on-one, or they're not experiencing you, they're experiencing you with a trigger from their ex, or with the shadow attachment in this environment. Some of them have this shadow attachment with this child because it's their relationship that didn't work out. For others, it was something that made them or you feel insecure. Okay. Some of them have really bad feet, okay? They're jealous, it represents something. I think that it really represents something that they're ashamed of, okay? And so it might have been displaced onto this child or to some other thing, okay? Or some other projection. So I think that you guys are successful and reach milestones, but I think that they have something that they shouldn't have invested in, or you feel like you don't want it anymore, okay? With the Five of Pentacles, some of you guys, this feels like a defeat if it created like hardship in your relationship, moments of depression, right? That is a win for them, for somebody, because it created a big burden of like this child who tries to like, who has a paternal attachment issue, chasing validation, and your partner, gets triggered by them, or gets defeated by them in some type of way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, something where it's just a loser, right? This child or whoever their ex is just a loser, and they kind of like become a loser too. I think that they kind of start doing something, performative, or they start looking for people's performance or something like that. They start looking for other performances, or people just, showing up. I think that you guys are just mutually not apathetic towards each other. I think that is just someone who got unstable about you, okay? It wasn't, I think that it truly wasn't personal, right? But I think that they do tame some wild ego. Okay, or they do tame your ego in a little bit, right? Or something like that, like something where they with a trigger, maybe you weren't expecting them to trigger you. Some of them, they're a traitor, right? You know what I'm saying? They're really a traitor, and they're the Three of Cups with like a child or something like that. Something where they're just like looking for a performance or something like that, and you're just like, oh, that's just a loser, right? And I think that you found a balanced perspective around it. I think that you do, but this was like something where it was a karmic challenge, because I think that it gives you the crown right away, but like it doesn't give you, they're not really focused and dedicated. Like, it's so weird that they try to give you, they come around and they give you the crown, okay, or they start parade, like these people literally start parading you around with that Six of Wands, and what was the Six of Wands and the Ten of Pentacles? They literally have like this, like, lots of domestic bliss or security with you, but they're like not really focused and dedicated in the background, okay? Or they're like, they have a karmic challenge that may feel like a conventional problem for you. It may feel like, where people form as an opposition, like they kind of like serve as an opposition to you, okay? If your partner starts like getting defeated or conflicting with you about something, that kind of means that they're op too. You know what I'm saying? This is like a Pisces. This feels like a Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. This could have been somebody that you worked with, or, something that happened when you were a child, okay? Where there was a complication with a lover that traded. Like, this was a traitor. And it was because it was a projection of their own fear. And it triggered you too, I think, friends, okay? Definitely a rejection there. But I think that this, relationships were not aligned, not in love. Something that, maybe it was something that happened when you were a child, or something that happened when you were just exploring a different part of you, okay? King of Cups energy. This person sits as a traitor now, but they feel like, you know, I think that you win, actually, because they like, I think that you win because they actually like, when I see the star coming up, it just feels like this person, they don't really get to experience ever, okay? With the star in the reverse, there never is an experience ever. Some of them, you reject their crown, you reject them, like you say you don't want it or something like that, because it's just not aligned at work or in love, friend, okay? The King of Wands, they still got a thing burning for you, I think, for sure, right? Yeah, they see you as the Empress. Like, I think they really are into you, but I think they learned it was their own fear, right? It was their own problem, and it was a self-rejection that led to you rejecting them, you know. And that was a big sacrifice that they make, right? This is a big sacrifice on both ends, I think, where they get really unstable with an argument about someone or someone else, okay? And you learn that they're just like mentally eroded, not really thinking straight, just projecting you in a shallow way, especially if you guys still have security in a house and stuff together. But this is really like a projection about someone or something else, and this is like someone that they have a child with, or some child throwing a tantrum, right? And I think that it's like you get really protective of yourself, because a lot of them have this like a lot of experiences with you, like they're with you 24/7, you know what I'm saying? Something where you guys live together or have like a lot of projects together, but they lose hope, because like they start having hope about someone else, or they start having hope that they can resolve things with their ex, and it's because they are triggered to go, you know, about something that's over, you know what I'm saying? Something that's over, or something that didn't work out, or something, you know, time and money and space that they can't get back, right? So, you know, with the Knight of Swords, where is this going? Yeah, they're still mastering themselves, because they get triggered. They got triggered, friend. But I think that this led to feelings of heartbreak. I think that you still remain in your Empress energy, because they never moved forward with any of those shallow projections where they started to like explore options. I think it just meant that they had, you know, they were lacking closure about something else, right? That where they felt really defeated in life, right? You know, there's a real attraction to you. I think that there's a real opportunity here. They give you the crown, but I think that they kind of drive things in their own direction. Their ex is a situation that could be out of control, or, you know, they don't think that I don't know, something where they don't have, you know, they feel that, you know, I think that they really reverse in life, where they're really like, they just decide to be a loser in life, because like your ex is clearly like over, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, that's like you being a big loser in life, okay? When you start to trap yourself, right, about a shallow projection of your ex, and start like having complications and arguments about children, or people who have their own insecurities of their physical appearance, right? I think that you are shocked to find that they got defeated, okay? That they tried to defeat you, right? Some of you guys are shocked that they defeated you, or you learned that they had a one-on-one relationship with a child, and this led to them revoking an offer, okay? Or that's someone that wasn't like a mood swing that they had that they don't want to talk about anymore, right? LOL. But I think that you guys maintain your security, because you do have a dependency on one another, okay? But I think that it just makes you restless, and, you know, I think that this projection about their ex really like makes your house unstable, because this means that like a relationship that's over, they're projecting you being over and start opposing things, right? It's like something where they start opposing things, and that means that they like defeated you, right? You know what I'm saying? But I think that you're the Empress and the Queen of Wands, and, you know, I think that their ex is just like was a saboteur. Like, take it how it resonates. This could be, you know, I think that, you know, this this is a child more so, this energy, because of the kippers that came out. But your spouse, I think that they're definitely the Empress and the Queen of Wands. But this something is about, it's about their teeth, yo guys. It's about their teeth for one. Okay, and you guys have a big, you guys, you know, something about your teeth and their teeth, or like this is an anxiety about their physical appearance. So I don't want, you know, this is your romantic love that, you know, that gets defeated by their ex, or they go back to their ex because of anxiety about their physical appearance. Okay. And so I think that you're really receptive to that, actually, with the Queen of Wands and the Empress. But they can't handle being unique, right? Or they can't handle you being somewhere else. So they start looking to other relationships, or they, you know, I don't think that they move forward with any of those relationships, that in that period where they threw it, I'm hearing they threw a tantrum and revoked an offer because they were trapped in a fear. But yeah, friends, so, you know, I think that, you know, you learn that, you know, this person is not as good as you thought that they were, or they weren't, you know, they weren't devoted and dedicated. I think that you might learn that you guys take an unconventional commitment, that you don't need to be devoted and, you know, dedicated. Some of you guys, this child that just wanted to sabotage your relationship and did, you know, you guys did learn a life lesson that could feel heartbreaking, or it could feel like it was, you know, it was a challenge that stung, you know what I'm saying, a challenge that stung. You know, as the Empress and the Queen of Wands, I don't see that you're defeated, but I think that it kind of puts the spark out of the situation, or you lose attraction in a little bit of way, okay? After realizing that they like projecting something else, or they started to oppose and conflict about something. The White Pelican, cooperation and self-sacrifice. Yeah, I think that there was sacrifice to cooperate in this situation. Some of you guys are very ambitious people, and passionate people, as this Queen of Wands Empress that you are, compared to this child that was just like a loser, lol. And I think that you do self-sacrifice your ego in this situation to teach this person a lesson about your age difference relationship, or to stand up to a situation, okay, or to get someone to cooperate. It might, you know, take sacrifices, or someone decides not to cooperate, okay? Either way, I think that you reflect, get conscious, and work hard to move on with your life, okay? Commitment and scrutiny. Yeah, I think that your relationship, you know, could have a house involved with the house sparrow and the northern mockingbird. Some people here were scrutinizing your commitment with each other, and so this made them scared. So it felt like a challenge similar to their ex, or, you know, their child parenting and children around the relationship, and working as a team in a family unit. Some things just broke down, or there was scrutiny around it, and I think that it just, you learned that someone is irresponsible if they kind of start rejecting and conflicting because of a child, right? That's just a loser. LOL. Either way, I think that some of you guys, I don't see that you are defeated, but I do think that you take a sacrifice in this situation, or that the relationship loses nurturance and care, right? I think that some of you guys, you know that this is an issue about their teeth, and so you guys start to kid that you're receptive as hell to this person. But I think that this false start that you guys may have had with the solar plexus triggering may have led to separation. I don't think that you're, you know, with that 10 of Pentacles that came out earlier, I don't think that your securities were obstructed. I don't think that you guys lost contact, but I do think there was a self-sacrifice in conquering the ego in this situation that led to cooperation, commitment, teamwork, and resourcefulness, because this relationship, you guys needed to learn about a scrutiny on your relationship that caused you to project something superficial about your physical appearance, okay? That's the learning lesson in this situation. and this led to sacrifice. But the relationship is not over, y'all. This represents the energy. And I definitely think that you are receptive as hell to this person. Like, you guys are so sensual together. And this person, you know, we learned that these children are just losers, right? Especially the aggressive ones. Like, what are these kids doing out here? Okay, they might have cute hair, friend, but they wild as an animal. Let me know how that resonates, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hi, group 4. Welcome to your selection. Last but not least, what is your hidden advantage in this situation? Okay, in this matter, all right? You're definitely more balanced, okay? So I think that you're just on the advantage of triggers, okay? About your teeth, okay? About this person's teeth, some other physical appearance thing that makes them angry and aggressive, okay? I think that you guys you've been secured, right? You've been secured with your physical appearance, and I think that that's where you find a lot more balance, okay? Some of you guys, this is someone that that eats a lot of gum, okay? They chew a lot of gum, okay? And they don't communicate themselves fully, okay? So we have that I think that that's the mental limitation, okay? Because it's hard to, you know, when you're struggling with a self-esteem issue like this, okay? It's hard to find balance, okay? Especially about teeth, something beauty related, okay? You guys are very beautiful. And so I think that you give a lot of gifts in this situation, okay? So I think that you are generous, right? You are humanitarian effort. I think that you do teach, right? But I think that when it becomes an extra burden around your home, then it's just not something that you realize that that's a deep shadow, okay? If it's a burden around your home, okay? So let's see, what's your hidden advantage in this situation, okay? Around this trigger, right? Something that kind of you need to adapt through. You might feel confused, or you might be, someone, takes a wrong turn or starts. Like, I think that you're on the advantage of someone trying to, in a mental limitation, which means that they don't move forward with things, okay? I think that you also don't want to move forward with things. I think that some of you guys, you could stay in a situation, maybe until the age 29, 17, or 34. Something about these ages could stand out. Or 71. You stay with them until they're 71. But I think that this is a situation that you adapt through. And so you're undermining where they delete home. Okay? Excuse me, you're on the advantage of an undermining of the feminine energy where they delete their home. Okay? Or where they try to undermine your home. Okay? So let's see, friends. This person is an Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. Some of you guys are, they have somebody that they could be going to prison for body typing you, okay, or targeting your body type, okay, because they were obsessed with your home. Some of these people, they're in a mental limitation around, a body image issue, okay? So that's a personal problem that they need to, adapt through, okay? And it brings a lot of emotional problems. And I think that because of it, because of an insecurity about their physical appearance, they could try to replace your beauty, looks, and style, with something more conventional, something that where it hurts to be pretty in this situation. It hurts to be raw as hell, okay? Especially if they find out that you're a pole dancer, or that you are extremely gifted. They know that everyone else's body before you gets put in a coffin, like gets put in a funeral home, right? It's a memorial ground services, right? It's a graveyard for the previous bodies. We have Pisces energy, which gives me more of that fish energy. Yeah, the matrix is reloading again, okay? Trying to project another insecurity about their physical appearance, friends, okay? People, are shape-shifting, okay? So they try to mimic your body, okay? Or your body makes people lose faith in themselves, okay? It's because if they can't, like, I don't know, something where they can have you and you could be like this dream body, right? Or this ideal, body type of your cultural group, and you're like, I'm telling you, people are dreaming about you, friend. But there's something that they could try to shapeshift and project your body a lot. Like there's like a portrayal of your voice, or there's like someone wants to mimic your voice. Like this happens to a lot of actors or celebrities. Their voices get mimicked a lot. People dress up as them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm also getting that, there's something that you do where this matrix kind of projects your image, but you develop a strong inner relational talent that kind of like makes it so that it's really hard to copy your king. It's really hard to copy your gift, okay? So what's your hidden advantage in this situation? Group 4, okay? People are shocked at this most recent development, where the matrix did something illusory while you were in adaptation, okay? And they got connected to water in some type of way around your house, right? And it's an insecurity about the physical appearance, or their expression in some type of way, something that causes something or somebody to retreat, okay? Or it changed something, okay? It changed something. Big crown chakra energy. I love that for you. I hope you guys saw my birthday reveal over on Exofelicia Tree's YouTube diaries, which was my crown chakra inspired half birthday annual celebration at a Renaissance movement, okay? So, but anyways, you guys, I think that you have to transmute some negativity here, because I think that there's a stall, a delay, a big mental limitation where people don't even admit these insecurities to themselves, okay? That's another aspect of the matrix, okay? So you bringing this negative energy into light is dangerous, and some of it may wind people up in prison because they were deceptive, targeting body types with a deep insecurity, and creating a brainwashing illusion around something relating to a white supremacy, okay? Or something to try to con your gift, con artistry, okay? And it's something that it's really hard to mimic your gift, okay? Yeah, victory and success, all right? Okay, what's your hidden advantage in this situation? You bring this negative energy and transmute it into light. You have the ability, is what I'm hearing. You end up having the ability to adapt through something with that fish energy. You develop your gift. I'm hearing something where you because of a spiritual connection that you have, you receive a lot of gifts, is what I'm hearing, okay? You receive a lot of gifts from your partners, romantic partners. Also, they support you in a spiritual way also, okay? But I think that some of them could be in a mental limitation around your religion, okay? This could be a religious issue, a spiritual a spiritual, like a spiritual, what do I want to say, like a debate about your spirituality. I think that you win, Fran. I think that you also expand your creativity. I think that this matrix, they keep copying everything you do, Fran. And it's like so scary. It's like so scary. And it's like so many people. And so everyone is shocked that there is like this trend of aggressive people about you because of your body. Okay? There's a trend of aggressive people. LOL. So, and I think that it's ultimately about your connection to the universe, friend. I think that this has created a lot of complications because most people don't have this deep spiritual connection the way that you do, okay? And so this matrix, it's easy for this matrix to get stuff by you, friend, because you're so deeply ethereal in a situation. You're like Mama Gaia, wandering the forest and, in a full breath work practice, like, you know what I'm saying, like some of you guys are really highly meditative and very mysterious to people, like, there's a lot of illusion around you as well. And so I think that you in this matrix is just like you're on the advantage of this matrix because you just literally don't get that. You just don't get it because you're like this really, really gifted person, deep spiritual person, deep, I don't know, I want to say brilliant lights is what I'm hearing. Brilliant lights, not deep lights, but like this negative energy made you brilliance is what I'm hearing. Okay, and this is shocking to everybody. When they see that someone could be going to prison about your body, you guys, they are shape-shifting. Okay, and so if they're mirroring your behavior, they could be going to prison for it. Okay, this could be some of the authorities in power. Okay, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer energy. That's the rich gent clique over at Elon Musk terminal. President Donald J. Trump, Sam Altman. Okay, Scorpio here. This could be Mr. Champagne Poppy Drake himself. These authorities, they're shape-shifting. Certain influencers and certain people have gotten targeted for brainwashing because they want to replace the... Okay, friends, so I see that you have victory over this matrix, y'all, but I think that you definitely had to adapt through because like these brainwashers, like these celebrities and these social media influencers really try to some of them really tried to, the matrix really tried to come for your crown, friend. And I think that you really had to, somebody going to prison. I think that you were dealing with a health and safety issue where somebody literally going to prison and these social media influencers start acting crazy or something like that. They were really negative energy around this. It's like, imagine you up here you're literally here facing bodily harm, and they're still mad about your beauty. Like, it's like, that's not like something where you guys might even be missing hair or missing, like, having big flaws or something in your beauty, and people are still like mad and targeting you. It's so weird. Like, that's so scary. Like, literally, like, getting bullied for your whole life. You're like, what is it that it's like, why do y'all keep like targeting you? It's like your brown skin girl, your beauty is something that they don't like something where I don't know, something we don't I want to say that they're jealous, friends, jelly team, right? But a lot of people are shocked that your crown transmuted this into light like that. They can't believe you got victory over this matrix, right? Some of you guys, you were really nurtured, okay? You were really loved unconditionally. You were given a lot of gifts. And so your gift is on the advantage of this matrix that wants to keep, I think the matrix are people who don't want to have a spiritual connection. And I think that's their choice, friends, okay? So, some of you guys, they could be at a crossroads between, having a spiritual connection, where they transmute things into light, or having, something superficial where they fall into, their shadow, pain and shame, friend. It's literally pain and shame. Okay, so this is not something that you need to like feel bad about yourself for, because if it reflects someone's shadow, pain and shame, this was like this big transmutation that you're doing where it might even end up, it's very triggering to you, but it's because like it's because someone's going to prison, friend. It's like because of the negative consequences, friend, or because of someone's pain and shame, right? It could be, I don't want to say it's even emotionally satisfying. Like being this is triggering because it literally becomes your gifted body, mind, and soul becomes a target for everyone. Okay. And this is the burden of this legacy, friend. Okay, so you've adapted quite a bit, I think, though. I think that you've adapted and matured your gift quite a bit, and you received tons of gifts. Okay, I think that you're a lot more safe, transmuting this negativity, or you have strong interrelational talents that bring everything together, that make people feel, that help people discern a shape-shifting, right? I also think that you're sensitive and soulful, but I think that this can make you isolate a bit, and I want you, because your matrix is so, you know, you are isolated for being a beauty with the beasts, you know what I'm saying, the beasts of the shadows, right? This is because, especially if they're going to prison, it's like these are like beastly people who started attacking your physical body, or started to target you because of your gift, right? And I think that when they never expected this to come into light, or they didn't expect you guys to find a tangible expression around something, or for you to find the law that they broke, okay, or for you to discern something illusory that they were doing for a shadow pain and shame, okay, reflecting their own fears and illusions about your gift and your beauty, looks, and style, your ability in some type of way, y'all. It was about your ability, and so a lot of people turn against you because of your ability, like a Scorpio, Aries, someone's name is Josh, Gemini, someone's name starts with the letter D, J, A, Q, L. I'm hearing friendships over years and years, y'all. I think that you've been isolated a lot because you've had an ability and you've been very advanced, okay? So this triggers a lot of people's shadow, and you've had victory and success transmuting their negativity into light because it triggers you too, okay? So this is what you have the hidden advantage around. You keep shocking everyone because they keep doing, they do something destructive or shape-shifting with the shadow to, it's negative, friend. And I think that you need to stay on the positive of this, because it reflects a mental limitation, a true internal struggle where this is like there's a resistance, opposition, or a matrix illusion, a brainwashing, okay, around your gift, or around the way you've transformed, or around concealing or doing something illusory, to profit off of shadow, pain, and shame. Okay, so be safe. Okay, be safe out there. So, but for real, because I think a lot of you guys are very dreamy, friend. And so when they see all this dreaminess and all these abilities and all these sensory pleasures, like, that they're a bird like this. Okay, so it just be a major ending when people see you, right? And I think that or a situation where you need to adapt through it. It might draw water, friend. It might draw emotional responses. It might, when you realize that someone's a convention, a loser, or that you got the same outcome in a situation, sharing your gift, or sharing, or you realize that there was something negative that happened again because of your beauty. You're like, oh my God, the Matrix was doing it again. You know what I'm saying? And so it just feels like you're always in this constant opposition. And it can feel very burdensome on this journey. And I think that it really does, this is reflecting a big inner journey. And I think that you are transmuting successful things into light, because it really is not burdens that you need to bear. Okay? You're the gifted ability. And so these are people's pain and shame that make them do something bad, right? That make them do something negative, that makes them get aggressive and angry. You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes them betray, okay? That makes them emotional themselves, right? Okay. So these are big transformations nonetheless, but I think that you transform in a way that be shocking as hell, especially because it ends in, like, their shadow ends in like canceled friendships, canceled celebrations, things. You move on, right? And they really doubt your ability to move on. Some of them, they doubt your ability to change and move on, and then you transmute their shadow into light, and they're like, oh, whoa, Some of you guys may have been interested in the video that I recently posted, that they're noticing this, or you're about to notice this video, right? Like something where you've been missing this, right? Someone's shadow in the matrix, a matrix illusion where they're angry and aggressive about something, your ability. And this has been something that you've needed to adapt through for health and safety concerns. Like, always put health and safety first. Like, there's no TikTok video, there's no there's no get together, there's no function that you need to prioritize over your health and safety. Some of you guys, this really was a mental illness that you needed to work on, or some kind of diet and fitness. And I think that you just keep transmuting all of this negative energies into light, okay? Even if the negativity is from yourself. And I think that it connects you to the water. And I think that you start to relate your talents when you realize that you're in isolation, having to fight against a bunch of people that have an incentive to do something illusory and a mirroring of you, okay? Or in a negative, like CNN recently, spewing that false news. It's just been ridiculous, all this fake news and stuff like that. A lot of this stuff, these are negative things that they do that are illusory to play on your shadow dominances, but it's really like, the shadow dominance is not the light, and we only fuck with the light, and this shadow is your pain and shame at the end of the day, okay? But their pain and shame in the matrix kind of like scale. I'm hearing that their shadow in the matrix scaled in a big way, and you were victorious and successful over this scaling of someone's engineering of an envy around you, okay? I feel like there was envy was engineered, right? LOL. According to ChatGPT. That's one of our Mythos insiders, LOL. But I think that you were a very successful friend with this matrix. But, their shadow was so bad and scary, right? And you've been not noticing this. You've been missing this, friend, okay? And you've taken an intuitive approach to get here. And you've ultimately, you have this beautiful gift. And I think that you always remain secured within yourself because of your gift. And there's so much negative things around to try to stop you from being successful. And I think that this is what you've needed to kind of be on the advantage about. Your gift is on the advantage of a common dilemma, okay, of negative energy, where their shadow leads to big endings, transformations, conflicts, and upheavals, okay? The Three of Pentacles reversed, okay? The High Priestess. And the Queen of Pentacles, yeah. Someone's ex, okay? Some of you guys, this is the ex, that's the matrix, right? And so some of them have already given you the crown. A lot of them, this could feel like the whole entire teamwork broke down, and you decided to work with yourself only. And this High Priestess, because you guys, the matrix keeps projecting with the Queen of Pentacles, and a lot of this is their ex. This is their shadow, pain and shame from their ex situation that didn't work out. And this is reflected as this is like a common dilemma with the negative energy with this Queen of Pentacles in the reverse, okay? Someone that they may have had some kind of domesticity with, but it was superficial. The person was there just to social climb themselves, and so they have been projecting this onto you, and so this makes them break things down. There might be a lot of gifts exchanged here, or the gifts might stop. You guys might stop gifting each other because the shadow of this projection of a social climbing, clout chasing, fame hungry, insecure person, okay? This person literally deflowered you. Some of you guys, this person deflowered you. They could have took your virginity. I'm hearing an Aries or a Gemini, okay? Someone, a big shadow came up after they deflowered you or were very intimate with you in a way. And so a lot of you guys, this may have, this projection was because they were not secure within their physical appearance, or they were not secured around the domesticity. there was a lot of negative energy with this Queen of Pentacles in the reverse. Someone's name is Ivy. And this is because someone did not have an ability, okay? Did not have an ability, and you just won that, right? Five of Swords, right? They did not get a victory. The team, either the team broke down or they didn't get collaborated with, friends. Yeah, you get the Nine of Cups energy, victory and success, right? And so this other thing, I think this is literally like this person, the emotional dynamic of this relationship is literally a projection of their ex, right? Where you tame them in a domestic kind of way, I feel like, but the matrix keeps coming with the negative energy, friend. They come with the force for real, and it's like a negative energy, and it's a illusory thing about it's an illusory thing about their own shadow, okay? So you're on the advantage of that, and I see that with the Five of Swords. You do get the Nine of Cups in this situation, okay? You do get the gift in this situation. And so, this shadow is just something that you have to kind of communicate about, okay? Some of them do try to replace you, and they try to the way that you have a gifted communication where they might undermine that, right? They want you to be receptive and communicative and, show your performance more, but that's really just their way of trying to like steal communication, steal performance, steal ego expression to explore something else, okay? Their ex, right? But I see that you have a big boundary there, okay? Or you have a big balance, and that they can't really steal it, friend. They can't really copy it, especially this is an older person. They can't really copy it. So, if they try to replace you, you learn that they were subconsciously overwhelmed by, or subconsciously overwhelmed by their ex with a projection, that they were themselves illusory and shape-shifting, okay? And I think that you get success over their shadow, I think, and get the gift that you want. That's what I'm hearing, LOL. Yeah, deception and opportunism. Yeah, I definitely see that here, okay? That was their ex, right? And so some of them, when you moved into this domesticity, you guys, they could have projected that, decided that you were the deceptive and opportune one. Some of them, they just were unresolved about their ex. They maintained their security, but, you guys learned that they had some hidden truths about their shadow, where they haven't really been, because of a shadow, they can't work together with you on something. For others, this other person, this ex or the matrix, they're not working on anything, okay? They didn't have enough ability, okay? So they were just deceptive as hell, okay? Shape-shifting, not working on anything, okay? Reflection and adaptability. Yeah, you definitely adapt through something, okay? And I think that once you adapt, you learn that someone was lying, or you learn a secret, or there's you learn someone's secret sorrow or their secret, shadow, right? And it's your victory and success, right? I think that you find good luck and a guidance around this situation, friends, okay? That's what you're on the advantage of. I think this, your gift, or you are on the advantage of receiving these gifts. You're on the advantage of some kind of exceptional gift or talent, skill that you have, of pulling all your talents together. And you're on the advantage of how you will adapt through this situation, how you will recover this situation. You're on the advantage of someone going to prison, okay? Some of them, especially if you know that this person was targeting your body and a modeling, aesthetics, public recognition in some type of way, dealing with public recognition or dealing with the spiritual aspect. Someone could be targeting you for your religion, like the KKK, or your race, right? And there's a lot happening in secrecy, so you're definitely on the advantage there, friends, LOL. But you realize that, a lot of you guys realize that, they are kind of deceptive, or they're kind of illusory. They're just projecting an image that serves them for a superficial reason, right? But they really, some of them are angry and aggressive. Some of them, they try to replace you or they try to con you. Like, these are literally romantic partners, men who try to like replace you or con you and dupe you off. Like, somebody literally showed up, someone's name is Deja. Someone literally showed up dressed like you, or like someone showed up thinking that they could like mimic your identity and your brand, and they didn't have enough ability. Thank you so much, group 4. Let me know how that resonates, and I'll see you guys in the next one.